project management to value delivery management. Today's topic on all things value delivery management. I'm Joshua Barnes, and this is going to be the first live stream in a series that I'm going to do that showcase a lot of the experience, lessons learned, a lot of things that we're currently doing with customers to be able to move project professionals and PMOs into a value delivery management focus and role. With that, I will get a couple of graphics going. All right, so I'm going to start off by kind of covering what I often see as a common problem. And so, the complexity of value being delivered with respect to our digital products these days, agile transformations having been going on for quite some time, we end up with agile teams, and sort of in between the agile teams, a bit of a line that divides is the project manager. And yes, agile teams, self-organizing, empowered to make decisions. And oftentimes they see the role of a project manager as kind of a relic to the old days of our waterfall or the traditional ways of working. And so there's a bit of a bias in that our agile teams are the ones that are building the product, which they are, and that our project managers are there still to just manage a project or manage scope. And so there's a bit of a conflict with where the value that PMOs and project managers can continue to provide. So what I'm going to do is focus a little bit on some of the mindset that we see that, I hear a lot, there are no project managers on an Agile team. Or even worse, there's no project managers in Agile. Right? So what do we do with our project managers, and what happens with PMOs, or PMO's value is continued to be questioned, and some organizations sort of disband PMOs. So let's take a look at the project professional, a project manager, or somebody that maybe has a PMP certification or something, a Prince 2 certification, right? So not somebody who is more on a coordinator, just somebody who's more of a task manager, but a true project professional, right? Can we leverage the experience and all of the institutional knowledge that somebody in these roles have? So what are some of the things that we see common with project professionals these days? Well, for one, a senior level of experience. Right? I mean, if you're in a titled project manager or program manager position, level 1, level 2, level 3, or senior, or what have you, right? You typically are going to have a lot of experience, and not just project management experience. You're typically going to have done different types of roles before you're in such a position. Now, these positions are titled positions in organizations, and therefore they're typically pretty empowered, right? There's typically a fair amount of empowerment that project managers and PMOs have within organizations, sometimes more than we're going to see at the team level. Somebody that's in a Scrum Master role, a team level coach, a team lead, as well sometimes as product owners and some of the other roles that we see within the Agile ways of working. Project managers typically know how to get things done. They know who to go to in the organization. They know how procedures, how processes work. So they're very good at getting things done. Relationships throughout the value stream. Yeah, again, typically the senior, they've been in the organization oftentimes for quite a span of time, and they have great relationships throughout the organization, and specifically the value stream that they're working in. Understand how to measure outcomes and the value of measuring things. And finally, knows risk and dependency management. Now, these are just some of the attributes we could find that project professionals have that we would want to continue to leverage to figure out how we can have somebody in this type of a role, or maybe grow into a new type of role, that's really going to be able to improve how we are delivering value to our customers. So, right, as organizations are starting to really understand, right, especially from a digital product perspective, the benefits of concentrating on the value streams that exist within the organization and how to make improvements within them and have somebody that is focused on that. They need people that are going to be able to be working in some of the factors for effective value streams. So if we take a look at our project manager role and we transition into a role of value delivery manager or some sort of a titled position, something that also might go along with moving your PMO into a VMO or VDO, a value management office, or a value delivery office, then what we can see if we're looking at this from a value stream perspective is the role of the value delivery manager now is not sitting as an outsider, sitting far apart from teams that they are still associated with. What we're going to see is that from a value stream perspective, they'll help be in the intersection of what we consider in the idealized value stream, the business side, our portfolio manager and maybe product manager roles, right, where we're identifying the investment decisions that we're going to make, what's the smallest next high value thing that we could possibly pull into the workflow on the implementation side and be successful with delivering it. And then there you have it. We have our implementation, we have our delivery teams, our agile teams, right? We're typically going to have quite a bit in our value streams. And now what we're going to be able to have people, these project professionals, focus on is improving the environment that this work gets done within. Now, yeah, agile coaches, product managers, product owners, there are a number of roles that should be focused on improving the environment that they're doing work in. The challenge is that they're not always empowered to do that, or they don't have enough time, enough capacity to be focusing on that. And that's where we have a real opportunity with project professionals to move them into this. So we've got our portfolio and product managers that are determining the right value. We have our delivery teams that are producing the right value. And we have somebody now that is improving the flow of that value being delivered. So I'm going to cover just 8 value flow factors that this role, amongst others, but this role would have a primary focus on attending to. Again, to be able to trust that we have the right people in the organization with the right skills and the right commitment to getting work done. But we're going to have these value delivery managers that are improving the environment, improving our ways that we're going to be able to have both our delivery teams as well as our supporting and our operational people that are contributing to getting the value completed so that we can release it and have it consumed by our customers. So each one of these value flow factors, I'm going to be doing a series of LinkedIn newsletters, and I'm going to be doing live streams on each one of them. So I'll be getting into much more depth in some of the coming streams that I'll be doing. So the first value flow factor is, are small items of high value being worked on? Right. So some of the items that are sort of the top of the list of a lot of the organizations we've had an opportunity to support with adopting an agile and lean way of working is they want to be able to achieve business agility. They want to be able to bring things to market quicker. They want to be able to get feedback quicker. Well, one of the best enablers of doing that is getting away from these larger quantities of work, these projects with lots of disparate functionality, to determining what is the smallest thing that we can do, right? So a relentless focus on minimums is one of the things that we'll see in this flow factor. Another one is, are there delays, right? Waiting time within the workflow. Now, and also, I mean specifically in the workflow, right? So there are times where we want to wait to be able to pull work into the workflow. If we don't have all of the people with the right skills, the amount of capacity to get that work done. But once that work gets pulled into the workflow and it's initiated, we need somebody that is looking across that work getting done across a development team or multiple development teams for more complicated situations, as well as supporting value stream contribution, legal, procurement, vendor management, marketing, right? What are the things that might need to be done in the other areas of the organization? And is there waiting with those activities either being started or a dependency or just getting completed so we can release that value? So waiting and some of the techniques such as story tracing, looking at the aging of items that are in our workflow, right? Having, again, somebody in the role of a value delivery manager that can focus on that, look for outliers, bring some awareness and visibility to what's going on and what options we've got to potentially address that. So factor number 3 is feedback quick, right? And this is at all levels. We want to be able to have somebody that really is looking across maybe what the team or the teams are doing. We want to see that there's quick feedback between team members, quick feedback between the Agile team members and the product owner that's on that team, between the product owner and stakeholders, other subject matter experts within the organization that they're getting feedback from, as well as the customers, right? The marketplace. So do we have quick feedback? And if we do, is that being quickly actioned upon? Factor number 4 is quality high, right? If the quality is not meeting a sufficient level that we've determined for our product or service, it's not just that we've got defects or we've got lower quality that our customers are going to perceive and possibly not be happy with and move on to something else, but the addressing of the lower quality, right? Whether it's bugs, it's technical debt, it creates additional work, right? So we have work that is being handed off and then it's going backwards. It's being handed back and then it's got to be handed off again. Hopefully you can see now a lot of these flow factors have a reciprocal relationship, right? So yeah, we want somebody that's looking at quality, but looking at quality sort of across the board. Flow factor number 5, is the workflow visible and is the work within the workflow visible? Do we know what people are working on? Do we have visual controls, right? Information radiators that we're able to see dependencies, see when work has stalled, see when work has been waiting in a state for a long period of time. And we need to be able to see an interconnection between these workflows. Again, if we've got 2, 3, 4 products that need to be enhanced before it can be released and that value can be consumed by a customer, we want to have that visualized and we want to have some central location with a very low barrier to be able to get to it and know that it's being monitored. Value flow factor number 6, are there low levels of work in progress, right? So I think this is pretty obvious, but it is something that so often we see teams and just people within organizations constantly struggling with, right? We have a lot of work in progress, which typically results then in more firefighting. We've got more decisions that have to be made on maybe who's the squeaky wheel, who's yelling the loudest, right? Which doesn't necessarily mean we're working on the most important or highest value work. We're not always attending to things that have a dependency or some other form of impact. Because we have so much work in progress, we also find that we're going to see a decrease in quality, right? People are a bit pressured to get work completed, which means, right, there's context switching and there's lower efficiency. But then we have, again, additional work that is now having to be done because we've got poor quality and things that we're going to have to also fix in the future. Factor number 7, are people focused on one product or service, right? So do we have some bouncing back and forth? Do we have not a reserve or protected amount of people's capacity, so it's very hard to forecast when we're going to get something done, when we're going to be able to meet commitments, because we do have multiple things that people are working on. And finally, are people arranged to avoid delays in the workflow? This gets into the value creation structure. How are our teams formed? Is it just from a organizational hierarchy standpoint? Is it from a reporting structure up to a manager or a particular area? And when we really start looking at how value gets produced within a given value stream, there's oftentimes opportunities to move people around to be able to avoid delays, reduce cross-team or cross-area dependencies. So lots of opportunities there, but we need somebody looking at that as well as somebody who's empowered or empowered enough to either make a change or be influential in bringing a change to the appropriate level where we see that it happens. So each one of these value flow factors, again, I'll go into a lot more depth on. These are some of the key things that we're finding that really are important to improve the environment where delivery teams and the other two supporting types, again, supporting and operational resources, are getting the work done. And by having somebody in a role, explicitly in a role, whether it's a role or a titled position maybe in the future, we're going to see that we're going to uncork the potential flow of value that a given value stream in a given organization is able to produce. So some of the next steps that I recommend, for one, just getting a foundational understanding, if you're a project manager, a program manager, somebody on, in a leadership position, on what value stream management is. We have a one-day course for this. We provide a very solid overview of value stream management. Another thing I like to recommend is understanding agile and lean ways of working. Right. So again, if you're in a role of a project professional and you don't have a good understanding of what time boxing and the typical agile approach, using sprints or iterations, flow-based approaches, using lean, using a Kanban-based approach, continuous delivery, the difference between maybe new enhancement teams versus maintenance teams, or other areas of the organization, whether you're in marketing or infrastructure. So we have an understanding of agile and lean ways of working that really articulates the differences between that. And with that, I'll move my graphic, and I'll thank everyone who is watching this live or on replay. If you have any questions or you have any comments, please post them on LinkedIn, and I'll address them as quickly as I can. We'll see you on the next All Things Value Delivery Management.